Despite court order, Labour asks workers to shut down nationwide. Details will come your way later. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Now, more than 5,000 investors in various sectors of the economy are in Abuja for the 6th Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit. The private sector-driven initiative is focusing on new vistas, new aspirations, new vision, the diaspora, and national development. This, the chairman says, has built the foundation for diaspora investment.
This is wealth creation by the diaspora. So it's about saying we can put money in this business, but you need to promote your business. And we have people from all over the world that are in this hall today for day one of this session.
We know from the Nigerian diaspora in Ireland that there are so many talented and motivated people ready to work with partners at home and also with partners around the world, and anything that we can do to encourage and support that.
For us just to know that, we're supporting our people, we're improving lives, they are creating jobs with this empowerment.
The pitching session provided opportunity for investors to understand their areas of interest, whether in agribusiness, real estate, education, or infrastructural development. Now, for Nigeria to achieve required food security in line with the new mandate of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, women farmers must be considered as indispensable partners. This was the highlight of a one-day workshop for women in agriculture and trade in response to the outcome of the 67th United Nations Commission on Status of Women towards achieving women and girls empowerment. Elizabeth Yila reports that more than 100 women representatives from the 19 northern states participated in the workshop. The report.
Woman, no nation. Women in agriculture and trade. Oh yeah!
Conversed here are representatives of women farmers from the 19 states of northern Nigeria. They were brought together by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security for a capacity building workshop that will better enlighten them on the national gender policy on agriculture, climate change and its impact on agriculture and women, gender mainstreaming and sustainable development goals were the major highlights.
We are going to achieve something that we are going to take it to our state, down to the rural area.
It will help me in training my children so that they will have something doing when they grow up.
When I take it here, I will go and deliver it to my women so that they will have more knowledge.
Representative of the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security says the workshop is to make women better informed.
To give them a kind of training that will empower them more in their strive to help the economy in food security and of course to improve their source of livelihood.
Issue of the national gender policy on agriculture that are 11 in number, the role of women in food security, and of course the issue of climate change.
The women used the platform to exhibit some of their farm produce and other processed goods from their agricultural yields. In Kano, Elizabeth Villa, NTA News.
From there, Senate joint committees conducting the 2024 budget planning process with ministers of ministries, departments and agencies of government have emphasized the need for proper reconciliation of accounts on revenue and remittances to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. This, the lawmakers say, is to ensure diligence and to achieve the 26 trillion naira budget target. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
As the lawmakers engage heads of ministries, departments and agencies of government on their revenue remittances and projections for 2024, they raised questions on the variations as captured in documents submitted by the Accountant General of the Federation.
A situation where an agency is supposed to remit, after they have collected and they never remitted until the next year, which will also reflect as performance of that year, because from what we have seen is like that.
If you are collecting documents in terms of transfer from maybe BAT, from NNPC and so on and so forth, we need to know exactly what they have transferred to you.
The budgeted figures of those remittances financial account are lower, in most of the years, lower than the gross receipt into the accounts, but less than the net receipt. So it's misleading.
We definitely go through the accounts, reconcile the accounts, and have serious engagements with the FGOEs on where we are having differences.
The National Communications Commission was also asked why its projected remittance for the next 3 years signals a downward trend.
There must be a reason why you have 510 and then only 218 projected in 2024.
Spectrum is finite, and it's also a function of the technologies available at the time. So even though there's a spectrum available, we cannot sell it until the technology is ready to use it.
In her submissions, the Director General of the Debt Management Office advised that Nigeria must challenge herself to achieve double-digit revenue generation like other African countries in order to fund the budget and take care of debts. Management of the News Agency of Nigeria also made an appearance before the committee. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
From that call for increased revenue to double digits, now to investment attraction and the latest disclosure by the Saudi Arabian government to invest in the country's refineries and forex pledge is receiving positive reviews. Economic watchers say there is a deliberate need to have long-term objectives to add value and standardize exports for sustainable economic gains and price stability. We now bring you a conversation with Musa Abubakar, recorded with our guest earlier.
The Africa Summit, which the objective is to promote trade relations with Saudi Arabia, which is one of the major oil exporting countries in the world. And also Saudi has been able to give the world a very good example of a country willing to move from a monoproduct economy to a country that also delves into telecoms, agriculture and other. So it's a good thing that at least Africans are taking a look at what is being done in Saudi. And one of the principal gains is the opportunity for peer learning. How did Saudi, for me, that's the main thing before we begin to look at the details. The opportunity to see how did Saudi transition from a country that was basically relying on oil now into other products like agriculture and then looking at other agro-hala industry, metals. They've done significantly well. So it's a good opportunity to benchmark practice, to share experience, and then unpacking the whole package in terms of what Saudi has to offer. Yes, Nigeria has 4 refineries that has not actually given us what we expect. The 2 in Port Harcourt, the Warri one, and then the Kaduna one. And maybe one of the best game will be in terms of the technical capacity exchange. If we can at least exchange that capacity that makes their refinery to be in optimum production level, that would be a very good one for Nigeria and other oil producing countries, exporters in Africa, to actually take a look. How did they manage it in terms of the business structure for maintaining those refineries, which I think has largely been missing in Nigeria. If you really look at the field of play, it has not been done as a business, and they've been lying there and will be reduced to a level of having to bring in refined petroleum products while we have 4 refineries. So it's a good one. We can benchmark, we can share technical expertise, and then in terms of the forest intervention, I'm a bit skeptical, and I want to position myself as an ordinary Nigerian who is feeling the pinch of what we are going through. Yes, the government is doing the right thing by trying to. You don't need to prop up an economy in a way that is not sustainable. We have to face facts and do what is. So the textbook requirement is what the government is doing. The World Bank will say, yes, you have to let go, allow market forces, deregulate, allow things to pick up by itself, which the government is doing, and people are feeling the pinch, and which I know will be for a while. If government actually do what it takes, the pain will be worth the effort. But then thinking about Saudi coming to bail out, it's a bailout. That move is now positioning Saudi Arabia as a capital exporting country in the mood of countries like China, because it's going to come with conditionalities, it's going to come with agreements, it's not for a free. So the immediate return will be, yes, the naira to dollar will stabilize, because the usual demand and supply thing will stabilize for a while. But what happens after it? After the freebies, what happens after it? So it means the federal government will have to sit back and begin to, we are getting this bailout, but long term, what do we do? And I see a whole of government approach that has been missing for long.
What's that approach?
A whole of government means if the federal government is pushing it, the agencies of government will have to support the federal government. If Saudi is giving us a bailout, and the CBN should be supported by other government agencies to make sure that the fiscal policies that are being churned out are implemented. If the Saudi government is going to follow that up by investing in Nigeria, there are other government agencies who are supposed to provide the support. Agencies like the immigration has roles to play in terms of expatriate quota. Agencies under the Ministry of Finance also has role to play. Agencies like the CAC also has role to play, so that whatever the federal government is bringing up at the center, we have the support base. Even likewise, the states also has to key in. So what we need to do as a country is a balance of trade. You need to go back to the issue of infrastructure to support businesses to grow in a sustainable manner. Because it is, in a layman's language, it is what you give out that helps you to earn money. So those questions will need to be addressed. How do we support business to be producing at optimal capacity? How do we have that competitive edge that our product will attract the right kind of value? Because most times the backward integration is not actually being done. Example is the crude oil. You send out your crude oil, people add value to it, they bring it back to you, then you buy at a higher price. But if we get to the level of sending it out, finished product, you earn enough, it's competitive, you bring in. And then also, we have to be more careful about who gets what, because even what comes from Saudi. I've met with a couple of business people and I feel their pain. Who gets access to those forests coming in? Most times, business people buy from the parallel market. In practice, what we see has not always been, because you and I can go on the street and try it. You will find out, but one thing we need to do is regulation has to. I want to hear of people flouting those rules being punished. That's a deterrent. People being punished because it has a ripple effect. If businesses don't access the forest they need, it means whatever they are bringing in for their finished good, they won't be able to meet up. And they are going to find a way around it. And they will go to the parallel markets, and then the consumer bears the brunt. So there has to be penalties in place to dissuade people from sabotaging government goods intention. Because this government, when I look at what they are starting on a very, very good note. Because they've left some sound bites. The issue of that special committee, fiscal committee, is a very good one. They also have an office within the government, an SSA to the government on policy coordination. That's a very good one. So if they can continue by monitoring and making sure that it's enforced, the long time Nigerians will be better for it. We will have a country that will say, yes, we are taking our pride of place. But it's a lot of hard work.
Okay, that was Babatunde Oladapo, Executive Secretary of the West African Tax Administration Forum, WATA, for talking about the quick wins and takeaways from the Nigerian government's outing in Saudi Arabia. And moving on, gold little change as investors brace for a U.S. inflation report. Let's see how other commodities are trading on the international market. And now talking energy, oil prices inched up this Tuesday after an OPEC report said market fundamentals remained strong and due to concerned supplies might be disrupted as the U.S. cracks down on Russia oil exports. Brent crude futures rose 33 cents to $82.85 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were also up 33 cents at $78.59 a barrel. And a quick look at the markets in Nigeria before we get to transaction will kick off and end today. As of yesterday, the equities market closed on a negative as investors lose 132.61 billion naira. The all share index shed 0.33% to close at 70,612.81 basis points. 474.7 million shares worth 7.7 billion naira were traded in 7,630 deals. Equity capitalization advanced to 38.7 trillion naira. Fidelity Bank PLC, Jopo Gold and UBA were the most traded stocks at the end of that particular session. Well, this is where We end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube and on NTA's other channels. Business Express returns tomorrow afternoon. I am Benny Adams saying, keep thinking and doing business.